Hey guys, I'm Matt from MWA Woodworks, and in this video, I'm going to make this cheap and easy to build storage rack for my kayaks. Keep watching, and I'll show you how I did it. So in the last year, my family has decided that kayaking is definitely our thing. So much so that my wife and I decided to go ahead and make the investment in everyone in the family owning their own kayaks, which for us means 5 kayaks. And while kayaks don't weigh a lot, they can definitely eat up space quickly. My primary objective with this project was to create a storage rack that allowed me to stack my kayaks on the garage wall, giving me a minimal footprint and to do it in a budget-friendly way. The design I settled on uses 3 12-foot 2x4s, 4 10-foot 2x4s, and 2 10-foot 4x4s. That gave me almost the exact amount of material that I needed, and I ended up with very little waste. I chopped all my 2x4s to length, making 12 of them 36 inches long and 8 of them 32 inches long. Since I want to store 5 kayaks, I need 20 pieces in total. The shorter pieces here are going to be used for the smaller kayaks. I then needed to make some smaller pieces to use as cross braces, and I'm going to cut those using the crosscut sled and my table saw. Now this could also be done at the miter saw if you don't have a table saw. I just find that cutting pieces this small is much more repeatable and accurate using a crosscut sled than using the miter saw. I needed 30 of these little pieces in all. And that's it for cutting on this project. All that's left to do is assemble everything together. Now to get started, I need to assemble 10 support arms. And to do this, I'm going to place 2 boards against one of the 4x4s like this. I then put one of the cross brace pieces in the middle and clamp the whole thing to the 4x4. Using 3-inch construction screws, I fasten this together. I then flipped the whole thing over and repeated the process on the other side. Finally, I added 1 cross brace approximately in the middle. It doesn't have to be exact, I just eyeballed it. The idea here is that the support arm is going to attach to the 4x4 like this and create a nice tight fit. I'll be able to fasten the support arms to the 4x4 on each side as well as in the middle using the cross brace. I just continued on using this same method until I had 10 total support arms, which looks something like this. Now for the 4x4s, I marked out screw locations at 2-foot intervals. I then marked the center with a center punch. I used a 3/4 inch Forstner bit to countersink a hole about halfway through the 4x4, and then I followed that up with a 1/4 inch drill bit to drill the rest of the way through. I made sure to knock out all the shavings for a nice clean hole. I made a total of 4 of these holes on each 4x4, which is going to give me plenty of places to anchor these to the wall. Okay, speaking of wall, I went ahead and marked out where I wanted the first 4x4 to go, and I made sure it was plumb. Because I'm fastening this to a cinder block wall, I used a hammer drill and a masonry bit to drill these holes. Now, if this was going to go on a normal garage wall, what I would do is mark out the location of the studs in the wall and go ahead and fasten these 4x4s to the studs using just a normal drill bit. And the screws I'm using here are 4-inch Tapcon concrete anchors. These are just special screws that are meant to fasten things to concrete block walls. With 1 anchor in place, I went ahead and checked for plumb one more time with a level and then moved on to drilling the next anchor. One tip I have here for using these anchors is make sure that you don't overdrive them because you can strip out the hole and ruin the whole thing. Just drive the anchor until the 4x4 is securely fastened to the wall and doesn't move. I then went ahead and marked out the location for the other 4x4, which was about 60 inches away from the first one. My kayaks are about 10 feet long, and this is going to provide plenty of support without leaving too much space in the middle, which could potentially cause the kayak to bow over time. You may have noticed that I'm using treated 4x4s here, and the only reason for that is that my garage walls are 10 feet high, and I could only find treated 4x4s in that length. Most big box home centers only carry untreated 4x4s up to 8 feet. With the 4x4 securely fastened, I went ahead and marked the location of my first support arm. I'm making it 30 inches off the ground, which is going to give me plenty of room to store other things on the floor under the kayaks. This was easy enough. I just lined the support arms up with my pencil lines and went ahead and screwed them into place. I started with one screw in the middle and two on each side, but I did go back later and double everything up once I had all the support arms in place. So I put 4 total screws on each side and 2 down the middle. I then worked my way up, putting 15 inches of space between each support arm, which is plenty of space for my kayaks. Some of these support arms did have a tight enough fit that I went ahead and used a mallet to tap them into place, which is great. I really did want a tight fit on these. On average, my kayaks weigh about 50 pounds apiece, so each support arm here is only going to be carrying about 25 pounds of load. These support arms should hold up very well over time under this amount of weight, but just in case, I can always add 4x4s to the other end of the support arms for extra support down the road. Now, one last thing that I wanted to add here was something to protect the kayaks from being scratched, and so I bought some cheap black utility mats from the home center, which had a rubber backing on them. I figured the rubber would protect the wood from wet kayaks, and also the carpeting would provide a nice scratch-resistant surface to lay on. They were also super clean and easy to cut with a utility blade. I went ahead and fastened these to the support arms just using a staple gun, and I think this gives it a nice finished look. All right, the last thing to do here is to load her up. I went ahead and loaded mine up with the smallest and lightest kayaks at the top. We're not talking a huge difference in weight here, but every little bit helps when you're working above your head. I'm also storing my kayaks upside down. This is going to prevent any warping from happening to the hull over time, and they sit flat upside down, which is going to make them more stable. And that's that. 5 kayaks up and stored out of the way. The thing I like about this design is that it's easily scalable, so if you have only 1 or 2 kayaks, you can easily modify the length of the 4x4s and the number of support arms needed. Well, I hope you guys found this video valuable, and if so, please give me a thumbs up and leave a comment below to let me know what you thought. Please also hit that logo icon to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to be notified every time I release a new video. Speaking of videos, here are a couple other ones that I think you guys are going to enjoy, and until next time, have fun in the shop.